Welcome to Secrets to Alignment with Savannah Schaffer. I am here to equip you with the belief and energy to make your dreams a reality. Take this time to fill your cup and align with the most vibrant version of you. Welcome back to the Secrets to Alignment podcast with your host, Savannah Schaffer. I am so happy to be here. I hope that you guys have had a great weekend. This has been a very transformational time period of my life. I feel like I am learning so much right now. And I really just want to be as intentional as possible as I can to take all the lessons that I'm learning and share them with you guys, because I know that if I am going through these things, I'm sure there are so many people out there who are also going through similar experiences, and I just want to help you along this journey. So this past 2-3 weeks has honestly been a very emotional time period for me, and I've had to do a lot of kind of putting my emotions and feelings to the side and deciding to show up anyways. As you guys know, I am a mom, I have a man, I am just trying my best every single day to continue to grow and learn and push forward. And this past few weeks, they have really tested me. They have shown me so much about myself. And I really just want to be as transparent as I can, as honest as I can, to just help you guys with where you're at. Because again, you guys could potentially be going through the same thing, or my advice could maybe support you in the future. So during this time period, I have just been going through a lot of emotional waves, and I'm typically someone who has a very good grasp on my mindset and what's going on. But throughout this time, I've really allowed myself to just experience what I am experiencing, allowing myself to just feel my feelings. There has been multiple days that I go to the gym and on my way home that I'm crying, and I've just been, to be honest, a little bit of a hot mess. And it's been pretty heavy. I have found myself in conversations with some of my good friends, and just me not even wanting to open up or share about what's going on, just because I've been really wanting to keep this private. Whenever I'm going through a lot of emotional things, I don't really like to bring it to too many people, because sometimes having a lot of people's advice or opinions can kind of confuse my own. So I try to keep things as private as possible and only consult with people who are in the position that I would like to be in, or my absolute closest friends. And throughout this time period, I have just realized how important it is to really check my perspective and see what I have been taking in and what has actually been supporting me versus taking me away from the things that I desire. So personally, what I've noticed coming up for me is actually a lot of fear recently. And these fears are so irrational, but they've been playing subconsciously in my mind for far too long. And what I'm realizing is that there is a really big part of me that wants to get to some place, get to some destination as quickly as possible, become the most successful version of myself as quickly as possible. And what I'm realizing is that my ego is really coming in here and kind of wanting to steal the show. And with ego, you also experience a lot of fear. Fear typically drives a lot of your actions, and you don't even know it a lot of the times. And I felt like I've literally been completely bamboozled by my own freaking mind recently, and I've finally got a grasp on it this past weekend. And I just had to share this with you guys because I totally know what it is like to just have your mind racing and overthinking, getting in your head so much and feeling like you literally can't slow down. The thoughts are just coming and coming and coming. And what I want you to know is that whenever you feel those thoughts coming and you're either experiencing a lot of anxiety or fear or overthinking, whenever you're getting into that mindset, I want you to know that what is driving that is typically your ego. It is not your intuition. It is typically something that is very internal, deep within you, that is saying, hey, wait, we need to make sure that we're doing X, Y, and Z, or hey, wait, this could take us off track, or there's something that is not in alignment within you that take some time to get to know and to get to understand. And if I'm being honest, the only way that I've been able to truly understand this is through my own processing and just allowing my brain to go wherever it goes and just let it flow. Whatever those irrational, fearful thoughts are, I've just let them flow onto paper, onto my phone notes. Like, there has been days where I've literally just kept my voice memos open and just me like spill out, oh my gosh, but then I'm worried about this, and then I'm worried about that, and then I'm worried about this, and I'm just literally overthinking. And I typically am not like this. I'm typically in a mindset where like I have a lot of control over the thoughts that are going through my head, but for some reason these thoughts were really overpowering me, and they were getting a hold of me in a way that they never have, causing me to be crying in the middle of the day like I never am, like causing me to just spin out of control. And again, I don't want to get too much into detail because this is obviously my private like life, but I do want to share with you guys that like I understand what it is like to feel like you are literally spinning out of control. And in those times, there are two things that you can allow to happen. You can allow yourself to just go down that rabbit hole and keep sinking lower and lower and lower and keep digging and keep asking yourself, why? Why am I thinking this? Why am I thinking about this? Where did this come from? Where is this stemming from? And like you get so in your head. And then there's a different way that you can go with it. The other way is maybe getting into your body and expressing and just like moving that energy within you and allowing it to come out. Yes, like cry if you need to, and then leave it, like let go of it. And this is hard. I know this is so hard because it was hard for me these past few weeks, but my biggest intention throughout this entire time was just like, okay, when the feelings come up, feel them, let them go. And then what I did notice too is throughout this time period, by the way, I don't have any notes right now, so I'm just kind of going all over the place and just telling you guys the thoughts that are in my mind. So I may be jumping from topic to topic, but I just need to spill out all of this because there's a lot that's been happening in my life and I want to give it to you guys. So I was also going to say something that I noticed that I was doing is I was kind of breaking into my emotional side in the mornings. And I typically rely on journaling for that. That's like always what I've always done is I've always picked up my journal in the morning and I journal whatever is on my mind. And what I am realizing is that sometimes that can actually not be as beneficial as I thought that they were. And this goes back on things that like I have already said to you guys of like journal every single morning, especially when you're feeling off and like all those things. Yes, you should do that. But what I'm realizing is that your morning thoughts and your morning intentions are so important. That is the time that you should choose to set what kind of feelings that you want to experience within that day, to take some time for yourself to decide, okay, what am I creating today? How am I going to feel today? What am I going to experience today? And really, like Ty put it this way last night, we were talking about this in bed. He said, this is like seeding. Like, why don't you take your mornings to seed of like what you're planting the seeds. So you're planting the seeds of, I want to feel abundant. I want to feel like this. I want to feel like that. You're visualizing, you're vision casting, you're doing all of those things that are actually very beneficial for you. And then he said, why don't you just check in with yourself at the end of the night and then do your emotional processing, or at the end of the week, whenever it is that you actually have time to sit down and fully express what you've been going through, how you're feeling about it, instead of it being something that's constantly taking over your mind. Because what happens is when it's constantly taking over your mind, you're almost cementing it. You're almost solidifying these things that maybe you don't actually want or that you don't truly believe, but then you're telling yourself it over and over and over again. Your perception really becomes your reality here. And this is something that it really clicked with me this weekend of, oh my gosh, like the reason that I've been feeling so off is because I'm just literally telling myself every single day that I feel so off. And yes, like again, I do not want anyone to ignore how they feel whatsoever. And that's not at all what I was doing. But I do feel like sometimes when we try to dig and we try to pry so much, you're looking for like an answer. You're in this phase of like needing to know. You need to know what's going to happen next. You need to know how is it all going to turn out. You're getting in this needy energy, and that needy energy, again, it's ego driven. That is not your intuition speaking to you, especially when it's repetitive over and over and it's the same thoughts over and over. That is not actually something that is supportive for you at the moment. And I guess that like in religion, maybe they classify this as like the devil is whispering in your ear or whatever, but to me it's just your ego. It's your ego being super loud. It's your ego trying to say, I want to be in charge, I want to be in control, and it starts to literally take over the actions that you're making for yourself, or tries to take over the decisions that you're making for yourself. And these can be very important decisions of like maybe to take a job offer, or to break up with someone, or to stop being friends with somebody. Like, those are really big things. And if your ego is driving that, that is not what you want. Like, you are going to regret that decision 100%. Like, there is not going to be one part of you that doesn't regret that decision, because it is driven by your ego, and your ego is so connected to fear. It's connected to fear, it's connected to shame, it's connected to guilt, and you do not want to continue to dive in to all of those feelings. So my advice to you is to actually get clear on what's coming up, journal out what's coming up when you have actually time to do so, and when you have the space to do so. Do not do it to start your day, because that's probably going to deter your vibes for the day. I would take time at the end of the week, at the end of the night, to sit down, write out everything that you're feeling, give yourself that space and that time and that energy to fully express it. This is also a great time to get into your body. The one thing that I found so useful throughout this time of me just being so spun up in my head was actually me going to the gym. When I went to the gym and I moved my body, I felt like I was resetting my energy. And sometimes after the gym, I was getting back into that emotional spot. But throughout me being at the gym, even if it was just one solid hour where I could just be completely focused on me, my music, my body, and just like put in some freaking work and challenge my body to do something instead of my mind doing all of the work, it really, really supported me. So I would definitely recommend that. My coach also recommended, he was like, why don't you go for like a run? Like, whenever you start to notice these thoughts coming up, like, why don't you go for a run? And I didn't get to do that because I had Aria with me and I was not going to take her out, and also it was at the end of the night and stuff, so she's already asleep and I can't leave the house. But like, that's even something that you can do, is like go for a run, like get this energy in your body going, flowing through your body, so that it's not so much in your head, because again, that's where you're getting into those spirals, you're getting into the overthinking, and that's not what we need for you, babe. Like, we need you to be at your absolute best. And when you're not dealing with these things and you're just allowing your emotions to literally take over, your feelings to literally take over, you are moving with so much less clarity. Like, you don't even know where you're going, because it's like you're running in a maze and you're never finding the way out. And something that I've noticed is like just being in this personal development space. Obviously, like, I've been in personal development now for 6 years. And sometimes like I am such a believer in personal development, and I believe that everyone should be doing personal development. But what I do notice is that sometimes I get into the mindset of like, oh my gosh, if I'm not having all these huge realizations, and if I'm not like locating the fears within me, and if I'm not doing all of these things, then I'm not learning, growing, changing. That can be a very heavy place to be, because then you're just sitting there constantly chasing these things internally. You're typically chasing things externally as well. And that's where it gets really, really bad, because when you're chasing things externally, you aren't able to control the external. The only thing that you can control is your internal world. And when you can shift your own perspective, that's when your reality starts to shift. Something that I've also noticed is that during this time last year, I was going through very similar feelings. And just to give you guys a little bit of a peek of kind of what this looked like, last year for me, it was a bunch of paranoia. And I have experience those same feelings coming up again. And I didn't even make the connection that they were actually at all connected until this Saturday. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally all stemming from the same place. And I finally gained some clarity on where it was coming from. And just to let you guys in a little bit of like what I'm talking about, I don't know what it was about me, but when I was 6 years old living in Ohio, there was this little fearful girl within me that had so much paranoia and anxiety and just sadness and fear. And I am not 100% on where it has come from at all, but I am recognizing that those same feelings that I felt at 6 years old of me like hiding underneath my covers, being a little scared, tiny little girl, literally that's the same feelings that I'm experiencing today. And so what I've noticed is that this is actually a repetitive pattern. This has been coming up for years. And what's happening is that these fears that are within you that you have not really dealt with or processed, they will continue to circulate in your brain in ways that you probably don't even realize are connected with this at all. But those same feelings, they exist there. And because you have not fully just let go of them, they're continuously coming up. And so I really did my best this weekend to go back to that little tiny itty bitty girl that was 6 years old. And I just literally envisioned myself sitting with her and just letting her know that it is okay to feel what she's feeling. It is okay that she went through that, but just know that I am in control now. I don't have to be scared anymore because this older version of myself, this big girl version of myself has my inner child's back. That's all it is. It's typically your inner child. She has been hurt in some way, she has been scared in some way, something has happened to that little girl that is continuously coming up in your day-to-day that's affecting you in a way that you probably aren't even realizing is connected. So hopefully throughout me speaking to you guys about these things, maybe it's triggering some memories that are coming up where you do remember being super anxious, super fearful, super shameful, maybe super guilty, all of these different feelings. Just know that they stay within your body so much longer than you even imagine. They stick with you until you let go of them. And so this weekend, I really took that time to just be like, I am done with this story. I am done with continuously feeling these same feelings because it is not real at the end of the day. There is no reason that I need to be in that same state of mind. And I don't need to allow myself to continuously go into that state of mind and allow my other things in my life, like my business or my relationship or my friendships or anything else, to be affected by the feelings that I felt when I was a little girl. There's no reason they need to be here. And it can be challenging. It can be so challenging to experience this, but I am going to challenge you right now to do your best to take control. Take control and show that little girl or show your inner self or your shadow self, like, I've got us, babe. You have nothing to worry about. You are in my hands now. There is no reason for you to experience these same feelings because we are not in that same position. We are not. We are safe. We are good. And that has been something that I've really had to anchor in right now is like, I am safe where I am at. I am okay. I've really been doing my best to regulate my nervous system throughout this entire process. Whenever I notice that these thoughts are coming up, I'm actually taking the time to stop, slow down, breathe. I'm actually doing what I need to move through these things and not allow them to attach to me as best as I can. Sometimes it's overpowering and sometimes it does get a hold on me, but I feel like after the work that I've done just this weekend on Saturday, that's exactly what I needed to do. And all I did was I took the entire day to just be with myself. I asked my sisters to take Arya, I paid them for watching her, and I just took time for me to be with my thoughts and be in my feels and allow myself the space to fully release let go and step into this version of myself who is stable, who is abundant, who is worthy as fuck, and actually has goals to get after. Because the reality is, this freaking planet is never gonna stop spinning, baby. Like, it's never gonna slow down because you're having a hard day. And the quicker that you get over this stuff, not sweep it underneath the rug, but the quicker that you actually get over it and you let go of it, the quicker that you're going to make your dream reality actually your reality. The quicker that you're going to step into the confidence, the abundance, the happiness, the fulfillment, the joy. But the longer that these feelings have a hold on you, the longer that it is going to take you to get to the place that you are wanting to go. So what you need to do is alchemize those feelings, alchemize them, turn them into other kinds of energy, lift them, take them away from fear and judgment and guilt and shame and all of that, and just allow yourself to have some grace and know that you are literally perfect and amazing exactly as you are, with all of these things included. And it is okay to feel those, but we will not allow those to take over us because we have things to do. We have dreams to accomplish. We have goals to hit. We have a whole life that, again, is not going to stop just because you're having a hard day. Allow the season of your life to be an expansive season instead of a constricted season. And give yourself, again, that time and that space to feel whatever that you're feeling, and then decide that you are done with it and you are ready to move on and you are ready to step forward. And I promise, once you make that declaration and you fully allow yourself to go there, let it all go. Sometimes you have to go to the freaking trenches and drop that shit off until you can feel so much lighter and so much freer. But I promise it is absolutely worth the time, the money, the energy, everything that you need to make that happen is worth it, because you will feel so much better on the other side. And that is finally where I'm at now. And I'm very, very grateful to be here. But I want you guys to know that your life, you're always going to be learning and growing. And sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes it is freaking you, again, crying in your damn car and just being so confused on why you're even crying and what is coming up and why is this coming up. And you're questioning so much. But that doesn't have to be how it is. It can be a small part of your life. It can be a small little season that you go through. It can be a week that you experience that. But then you always have the power to choose how you want to show up. And I want you to do that, especially during this season right now. This is the time that you can leave as much as you possibly can in 2024. Leave it in 2024 and step into 2025 feeling like the best version of yourself, because you deserve that. Your family deserves that. Your relationship deserves that. Everyone in your life deserves for you to be at your absolute best. Prioritize your inner world. Get familiar with the parts of yourself that you probably have never wanted to look at or face. And I promise you that just knowing yourself is going to set you up so much more than all of these people in the world who think that they know themselves, but they actually don't. This is where that inner work is just so worth diving into, but at the right time and at the right place. Not in the mornings, not when you're starting your day. Just like take that time when you are able to do it. And sometimes compartmentalizing is actually beneficial, and people might think that's not something good, but for me personally, like I've had to do that throughout the season, because again, I can't just literally stay in bed all day and like do nothing. I have clients to serve, I have a business to run, I have emails to send, I have a podcast to do, I have things that I need to get done, and I've had to just put those things to the side and then continue to show up anyways. So do what you need to take the space for yourself, pour into yourself more than you ever have. And I cannot wait to see how much that does for you. Okay, all right. I think that we got through that. I'm feeling really, really good, super lit up, and I'm happy that I got to share this with you guys, because it has not been the easiest season for myself, and I'm just hoping that this will help you guys within your season of your life currently. If you guys took anything away from this podcast episode, please, please, please send me a message on Instagram. Let me know if anything resonated with you. I love hearing from you guys. It means so much. I mean, seriously, I'm literally just speaking into a freaking camera and a microphone right now. I have no idea what this is doing for you on the other end. So if you haven't already, please send me a message on Instagram, leave a review on my podcast, subscribe, follow, do all of the things. I'd really, really appreciate it. It also helps me impact so many more people, and that is obviously my ultimate goal here. I appreciate you guys so much for your time, your energy, listening to this podcast, and I will see you next Monday.